The Empire Omnibus Volume 2 is now available as of October 2023. As the name implies, this omnibus is a follow-up to the Empire Omnibus Volume 1, which covered the Star Wars comics following the rise of the Empire. But Volume 2 also branches out into stories that take place in the 19-year period between Star Wars Episode 3 and 4. Not all these stories are strictly focused on the Empire, though they are the dominant force in the galaxy right now. But we'll get into all that soon. As always, we start with the cover. Like Volume 1, we get a nice profile pic of Darth Vader himself. And he's on the spine and gets name dropped on the back. Darth Vader, Droids, and Dash Jenner. Yeah, that summarizes this book pretty well. And of course, we have the banner of the comic covers for the stories that we'll be reading inside. And taking off the dust jacket, we again get Darth Vader brandishing his red lightsaber in a threatening manner. In fact, without the jackets, Volume 1 and 2 are pretty hard to tell apart. Opening it up to the table of contents, we can see that this book is packed with several comic issues. I won't go into too much detail for each one, but I'll do my best in providing a general summary. First, we have Dark Times Fire Carrier, Dark Times A Spark Remains, Darth Vader and the Ninth Assassin, Darth Vader and the Cry of Shadows, a few short Tales comics in the middle, and the last half are the Droids comics to close it out. In Dark Times Fire Carrier, Kikrook and his band of younglings crash land on the planet Arcania, which is overrun with war refugees like them. However, the local militia doesn't seem to want them there, and might be holding a dark secret. The Jedi must soon flee, or they will be in great danger. In Dark Times A Spark Remains, the crew of the Yuhumele plan to deal a significant blow to the Empire by taking out Darth Vader himself, though Dash Jenner wants to recruit one more Jedi in hiding before they use themselves as bait for the Sith Lord. Before reading any of these arcs, I highly recommend reading the Empire Volume 1 first, because these stories are continuations from what happens in the first omnibus. In Darth Vader and the Ninth Assassin, a rich asshole hires a masked assassin to go after Darth Vader as revenge for the death of his son. And while that's mostly happening in the background, Vader is on his own quest to deal with an insane cult along with their deadly superweapon that's been attacking the Empire. Not very nice of them. In Darth Vader and the Cry of Shadows, a clone trooper known as Hawk is living on his own after unknowingly been left for dead by the Jedi, but later on he eventually joins the Empire. Hawk has a lot of respect for Vader and serves directly under him, but is that respect misplaced? The next section of the book is a group of stories from Star Wars Visionaries or Star Wars Tales. The continuity status of all these stories has historically been a big question mark, but their inclusion here, I believe, gives them a lot of merit. So next is Old Wounds, which is the famous story where a still-living Darth Maul with robotic legs attacks a young Luke Skywalker to draw out Obi-Wan Kenobi. For many years, the story was always non-canon, but thanks to TCW, this story could have still potentially happened. In the next story, The Duty, a Jedi named Gira is trying to protect a ship full of Padawans right before being attacked by Darth Vader. Vader says he will let them live if Gira promises to join him. Gira does so, but Vader kills them all anyway, because he is a massive troll. In Ghost, an old Quinlan boss teams up with a young Han Solo on the planet Socorro, against a gang of bounty hunters. Not much else to say about this one, but I'm glad the Jedi Master is still alive. In Sandstorm, Luke Skywalker gets lost in the desert and meets a mysterious boy named Annie. Turns out they have a lot in common, and get along pretty well. It's not explicitly explained, but I'm assuming this is all just some kind of Force vision. In Luke Skywalker's Walkabout, Luke gets lost on Tatooine with his friend Wendy. They are attacked by a crate dragon, but they are saved thanks to a mysterious stranger named Ben Kenobi. In Falling Star, Luke and Biggs take a trip off-planet, but when a technical malfunction causes the ship to break apart, Luke has to use his knowledge to help fix it before it's too late. In Young Lando Calrissian, Lando pretends to be a Jedi to trick a tribe of Meeks into giving them their valuables so he can prevent a supposed Rancor attack. That slimy, no-good, double-crossing Swindler. In Prey, both Darth Vader and Boba Fett compete to track down Han Solo for deserting the Imperial Navy. This leads them to a lightsaber duel with each other, which is pretty much the coolest thing ever. Next is the story In the Beginning, which tells how Lando lost the Millennium Falcon to Han Solo in the game of Sabacc. It does contradict the Han Solo trilogy a little bit, but it's just two tellings of the same story at the end of the day. And next we're moving on to the Droids comics. In the spirit of the Droids cartoon, C-3PO and R2-D2 go on many misadventures and are constantly finding new owners to take care of them. In this case, they are taken in by the Pitaries family and constantly deal with the crime lord Olag Grek over and over. They meet cooks turned into pirates, C-3PX, a ruthless bounty hunter droid that looks almost identical to C-3PO, giant rock monsters, and more. In the Rebellion story arc, C-3PO gets reprogrammed to lead a droid revolution against Boonda the Hutt. And it also explains how he got his silver leg. In the Season of Revolt story arc, the droids have to deal with warring factions fighting over an herb called Savorium, which brainwashes anyone who tastes it to be in a constant state of happiness. There's this old guy named Smiley who's constantly bouncing around and causing mischief. And finally, in the Protocol Offensive, the droids help mediate talks between the Tion hegemony and the native Troobs and Hobors. I find the art of this comic in particular to be just beautiful. And this comic is a collaboration between Anthony Daniels and Ryder Wyndham, based on an outline written by Brian Daley before he passed away of cancer. You can read all about that in the behind-the-scenes sections at the end of the book, along with various covers and concept art. And that's about it. Like with the other omnibuses I've reviewed, they are either about 1,300 or 1,000 pages. This one, unfortunately, is about 1,000 pages, so you're not getting as much bang for your buck. Since they take place between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, some stories that they could have included to increase their page count would be Routine, Extinction, Han Solo and the Hollow Moon of Korea, Han Solo at Star's End, The Hovel on Turk Street, Underworld the Yavin Vasilika, and The Assassination of Darth Vader. None of these stories listed are in Volume 2 or are going to be in the Empire Omnibus Volume 3, which is set to release later this year. But perhaps there will be a Volume 4 in the future, which will include some of these. Also, as I've mentioned with other omnibuses, do not pay the full $125 market price for this book. It's too much. You can get it for much cheaper online. Overall, I think this is a pretty good book. If you got Empire Volume 1, I think you will also like this one.